Good morning, participants from Africa, in particular from Malawi, Mozambique, and Zambia. Good afternoon, participants from Asia, in particular from Vietnam and other countries in the Asia Pacific. Welcome to the webinar on strengthening social protections, tackling the capacity building challenges for local actors. In 2016, the International Labour Organization and the Irish Aid launched a partnership to support Zambia, Malawi, Mozambique, Vietnam, and Tanzania in areas of inclusive growth, social protection, and job. The 2023-2025 Irish Aid ILO Partnership Program focused on extending social protection system in this country. And this webinar series will facilitate dialogue and knowledge exchange, concentrating on national and local implementation of global social protection policy, enhancing research, capacity building, and promoting inclusive social protections. So welcome you all to this important webinar. My name is Nguyen from the International Labour Organization in Vietnam. I am your moderator today, and I would like to inform about the objective of this webinar. It's aimed to showcase practical example of how capacity building through the Transform and other country initiative have enhanced social protection system at both national and subnational level in Malawi, Mozambique, and Zambia. The examples to be presented will highlight the positive changes in the well-being of individuals and communities made possible through capacity building. There are a couple of essential information for your note. First, this section is being recorded, and along with this presentation, it will be available on the website of socialprotection.org and sent to all registrants after the sections. Second, Zoom AI generates automatic captions. To see it, kindly click the CC closed caption button in your screen. You are encouraged to use the chat box to present yourself, make comment, or share useful link. However, when it comes to the question, please share your question with the speaker through the Q&A box. Please state your name, organizations, and if your question is directed to a specific speaker. And this section will feature simultaneous translation, interpretation in English, French, Portuguese, and Vietnamese, as well as the internationalized sign language interpretation. The sign language interpreter videos will be always spotlight. Now let me go quickly through the agenda. After my introduction, you will hear a presentation on overview of the Transform initiative by the ILO office in Zambia. After the overview, you will see how Transform has been practically employed in 2 countries, including a presentation on a practical example of how Transform contribute to building social protection in Zambia. And then a presentation on institutionalization of the Transform package, training package in Malawi. Then after that, there will be a Q&A section in about 30 minutes and closing by 5 minutes. So it is grateful for me to introduce the speaker today, Mr. Felix Mwenge, Transform and Knowledge Management International Labour Organizations. Miss Thebuho Kavubya, District Officer, Ministry of Community Development and Social Services of Zambia. Miss Malumbo Kumwenda, lecturer, Magomero Community Development College, Malawi. Now, I would like to start the first presentation to invite Felix, my colleague, for the presentation. The floor is yours, Felix. Thank you.
Thank you, Dad, for that excellent introduction. Thank you very much to all the listeners. So let me move from the cover to the first slide of the presentation on the overview of Transform. Like Dad rightly put, my name is Felix Mwenge. I'm the Transform Africa coordinator based in Lusaka at the International Labour Organization. So I'm responsible for the day-to-day coordination activities of the Transform initiative in the Africa region, but also in collaboration with colleagues in the MENA region. So I'm just going to provide an overview of what Transform is about. And then I'm just going to highlight some of the key issues and important activities that have happened with examples from Zambia and Malawi. And then I'm just going to provide an overview of the future of Transform. What exactly is it that we are trying to do, and what's the plan for the future to increase the impact of Transform? So in terms of the overview, Transform is a regional capacity building interagency initiative, convened by different UN agencies. And this was at the beginning at the request of the African Union. The initial development of Transform took place in Southern Africa in 2016. All the coordinating activities were in Zambia and have been in Zambia since. By 2021, Transform had reached the Arab region. So we now have the Africa region and the Arab region, and it just keeps growing and expanding. The initial mission is actually to promote critical thinking and leadership and build capacity at national and sub-national levels. All this intended to improve the design, effectiveness, and efficiency of social protection systems. Next slide. I want to talk about why Transform. Why should institutions in Africa and in the Arab region choose Transform as a tool for capacity building of government institutions? So Transform has done a lot of work and bridges the gap between theory and implementation. Transform uses a transformational approach, where theory is translated into implementation, and this starts by recognizing local knowledge. Transform is also solution-based and oriented, so there's no need for another academic training or any external blueprints to follow. So the context of the training determine acceptable solutions that participants come up with. Transform also empowers learners to handle the complexities of their own social protection systems. And this is done by appreciating the linkages between its elements. Participants are encouraged to own and implement creative solutions suitable for their context. Next slide. Let me also quickly go through some of the distinctive features of Transform. So like I said, it's a regional initiative. So Transform has a regional orientation. It was developed by African and Africa-based experts. So it's developed on local knowledge, local problems, looking for local solutions. Transform, focuses on promotion of regional leadership and technical expertise through the development of a pool of accredited Transform master trainers. So the program, has its own network and a pool of experts that we have trained to be able to undertake the training. Transform also has a unique, pedagogical approach focusing on leadership and transformation. So the focus of the trainings are, to raise leaders that can go back and transform their environments. Transform uses a modular curriculum, which is adaptable to context-specific needs, and that is accessible to all as a public good. So the materials, the training materials, and other resources of Transform are actually accessible as a public good. Transform is focused on providing technical guidance to social protection practitioners who are engaged in the administration and governance of social protection programs. And lastly, among the many other distinctive features is that Transform is organized around an advisory group. This is a team of technical experts in social protection drawn from different backgrounds who continue to provide the technical leadership of the initiative. Next slide. I want to briefly talk about the pedagogical approach. So Transform is action-based and experiential teaching methodology. So the Transform trainings are not sessions of one person making PowerPoint presentations for hours and hours. Transform is designed as an experiential kind of training. So trainers come together and they do games, they do lots of interactive activities that center the problems that they face in a day-to-day life of a practitioner. So participants are taken through a leadership journey outlined through personal commitment to effect change in their programs further to the training. So this approach, adds to the uniqueness of Transform and to some of its impact that we will see today. Next slide. In terms of delivery modalities, Transform is currently available in 3 different modalities. So we have a full introductory package, which focuses on building blocks of social protection. We have a district module, which is intended and targets sub-national level social protection implementers. We also have e-transform, and this is an aspect of Transform that we utilized a lot during the COVID-19, where trainings were delivered online. And then from these, we have what we call in-depth modules. So these are shorter trainings that are 2 to 3 days. And these basically build on the introductory package. So we now isolate the building blocks of social protection and look at them individually. So these courses include shock responsive social protection, monitoring and evaluation, selection and identification, management information systems, governance, coordination. So in the approach, usually we advise countries and governments, to administer the introductory module. And this is useful for contexts where, it's people are not very clear about their social protection policies. People are uncertain about whether social protection is a right or not. So we build that foundation using the introductory package. And it has proved that it solidifies the knowledge and the understanding, and usually it's the first point for starting the coordination of the future of social protection policies in different countries. Next slide. In terms of some of the numbers, so far since 2016, when the initiative was launched, so like I indicated, we have the Africa region. So within Africa, we now have 3 different cohorts. So we have the English cohort, we have the French cohort, mostly in West Africa, and we have Lusophone cohort, that is the Portuguese-speaking countries. So when the modules are made in English, they are now translated into the other languages for easy administration and adaptability. I'd already said that we now have the MENA region, and we are looking forward to Transform growing to other regions like Asia and the like. In terms of the numbers, I think quite a bit has already been done. So Transform has trained over 3,000 practitioners. translating into about more than 120 in-person trainings. And I'll be speaking to institutionalization. So Transform has also begun to now, move towards countries and governments adopting the tools. And so we've done 3 national trainings in Zambia, Malawi, and Kenya that are now intended for the government to actually adopt Transform as their own, as their tools of choice for building capacity in these countries. And we'll be looking at one of the cases. So in a nutshell, I think that there's also lots of potential. I mean, we've only done a few countries. Africa has more countries than we've ever reached. So uh, Transform can only grow bigger, and we hope that its influence can only be extended more in Africa. And as a result, I just now want to talk about the future of Transform, how we are thinking the next phase of Transform should look like. And the key issue really is institutionalization. And to be fair and honest, this is not new. So this conversation has been there from the beginning. That next, I'm on the next slide. I'm on slide 8. Sorry. That when we have built the modules, when we have trained the initial cohorts, I think there's need now to expand Transform a lot more. And what's the reason? Is because capacity gaps remain in many African countries and the MENA region that must be fulfilled in order for us to continue promoting the building of social protection flows. But also with it's because so far Transform has demonstrated that building the right capacity of policymakers and social protection practitioners improves the quality of social protection policies and strategies, both at national level and sub-national level. And we have some good evidence of this from Zambia and some other Southern African countries. Also because skills acquired through Transform have contributed to improved coordination of social protection services, leading to better access, for many poor and marginalized groups. Also that, I had mentioned that, so we rely on our own trained master trainers. So these plus other students that attend Transform, they become social protection experts in Africa that governments tend to rely upon, to lead the development of policies and strategies. But they also become, excellent at advocates for Transform in terms of pushing for governments to invest more in social protection, pushing for governments to institutionalize international standards of social protection. So based on this, I think that Transform should only grow, and it should go beyond what it has now. So that's the idea of institutionalization. Next slide. So then we are thinking, what should be the approach of this institutionalization? How do we grow Transform, and how do we take it further? So this is being looked at, country and global level. So we have the global and regional level, which is focusing on redesigning the coordination of the initiative to consider the roles of global and regional institutions. Africa, for instance, West Africa has these, regional economic blocks like ECOWAS, African Development Bank, COMESA, the AU itself. And most of these tend to have a mandate on social protection. So the idea of this level of institutionalization is to ensure that, these institutions buy into Transform and adopt it as a tool that can help to build capacity in social protection. This also means we are also exploring potential institutions and organizations that can host the secretariat and drive resource mobilization. So since inception, the ILO has hosted the Transform Secretariat and played coordination roles. And we are thinking that, look, as the initiative grows, probably more people can play a coordinating role, more institutions can play a resource mobilization role. Exactly. Now, at the country level, really, the idea is to ensure that instead of having a process that is driven by the ILO and UN agencies, we are looking forward to a situation where governments actually adopt the tools. And for instance, we'll be looking at one of these cases in Malawi, where transform tools are actually adopted in a government college that teaches social protection. And that probably is the best way of sustaining the initiative and the good tools that it has. So with those few words, that I would like to hand over the floor back to you, and just mention that the future of Transform looks bright, and it can only grow bigger because the capacity gaps in Africa and the MENA region are still a lot that we need to fill. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Felix, for a very concise but enough comprehensive presentation on Transform, which is an C capacity initiative. You presented.
Thank you very much, Dad. So as I introduced, my name is Thebuho Kavubya, Social Welfare Officer under the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services under the Department of Social Welfare. So my role this morning is just to share on Transform as a practical example of building social protection systems in Zambia. Next slide, please. Thank you. So that is just my presentation outline. We'll look at what Transform is, the inception, when we started, who was trained, what were the key components, and also what approaches were adopted following the Transformer training, and then the outcomes and areas of Transform's influence on social protection service delivery. Then we'll look at the challenges and just share a story of change. Next slide. Okay, so as Felix has already talked about what Transform is, which is a leadership and capacity building program, which has been supported by ILO, is a training package and employed to build capacities at the district level, like in Kafue where I'm working from. So it enhances our knowledge and skills on social protection. So Transform was used as a first step to support the implementation of the single window initiative in Kafue. So just to also make mention that at the moment, we have 47 districts out of the 116 districts in Zambia that are implementing the single window initiative, meaning that is where Transform has also been delivered. So as social protection practitioners, it gave us an opportunity to be introduced to the building blocks of a very functional social protection system, specifically focusing on the importance of coordination amongst others. I can go to the next slide. So when we talk about the functions of the social protection system or the key components, so these are the components that we introduced to when we received the Transform training. We looked at the legal framework where we were able to appreciate the laws and policies that we have as a country, as well as at international and regional level, and also selection and identification. So what influences that? We're able to look at issues of the policy, the fiscal space, the design and implementation. We also looked at administration being the key backbone of social protection service delivery. So for example, how are transfers delivered, also the payment systems that are in place. We also looked at coordination, where we're able to appreciate the vertical and horizontal means of coordination, where we talked about, for example, the policy, the program, and implementation. So we also introduced to the management information system, focusing on integrated management information systems, where we need to integrate our MIS, even as we are offering social protection services. We also looked at financing and financial management, where we looked at, for example, resource mobilization at the district level, as well as our national budget. So what component does it have for social protection? We also looked at monitoring and evaluation, as well as governance. So these were the key building blocks that we were able to appreciate in the transform training. Next slide. So just to appreciate where we are coming from, when did we start? So we had the inception meeting that was in 2018 as a district. So Kavubya was one of the champion districts that was chosen to implement the single window initiative. So Transform was used as the first step to introduce the single window initiative at the district level. So at that time, we had 6 champion districts in 2018. So that is also the year in which we received the Transform training. So at the moment, we had 47 in-service trainings that have been done, and that also translates into 1,170 social protection practitioners who have been trained to date. So we started with the implementation of the single window initiative that was in 2019. So just to appreciate where we have come from. Next slide. Okay, so who was trained? So in different districts, but this one in Kavubya particular, we had 30 stakeholders who were trained. We had 10 from the non-governmental organizations, 19 from government departments, as well as one faith-based organization. Okay, next. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, Transform was one of the first steps for the implementation of the single window initiative. So under the single window initiative, we are looking at integrating a service delivery in the form of contact points for beneficiaries to access social protection programs. So the major objective of the single window initiative is to improve on coordination of social protection service delivery and access to these services using the single window entry points. So it's a mechanism where we're trying to enhance coordination of social protection and service delivery, just ensuring that we are taking the services nearer to the people. So we realized that social protection systems are complex and require specialized knowledge and skills at various levels. So hence the Transform training that was done when we're implementing the single window initiative. Next slide. Okay, so following the Transform training that was done, so in the 6 champion districts, just to make mention that at that time we did not have a single window implementation guideline. So we're challenged to look at coordination. How are we going to remain coordinated at the district level, even as we delivered the social protection services? So we came up with approaches that after being capacity built in Transform. So just to share the processes that have been adopted and being implemented. So we had to look at stakeholders mapping. So this is where we just map all the social protection service providers at the district and community level, just to know who is operating from where, what services do they offer at what time, and so on. And also stakeholder engagement, because when we look at coordination, we need to remain meeting like together, implementing together, monitoring together. So we had to create platforms for engaging with one another. So we came up with the Social Protection Committee, where we meet like every quarter, and just to review our programs, to plan together, and just to ensure that we are implementing the social protection services together. And also coordination system, where we look at who reports to who, and also the single window entry point. So we had to set up single window entry point at the community level just to take the services closer to the people, and just for the beneficiaries or potential beneficiaries to know where they can access the services in a coordinated manner. And also just to look at case management. So case management, we look at the whole process. If a beneficiary is identified, the assessment is done, the services are provided, or also enhancing on the issues of referral. And also capacity building of single window entry points. So we also had to capacity build the single window entry points at the community level. And also community sensitization, just to make sure that everyone in the community is aware of the social protection services that are being offered. So following the transform training that we received at the district level, we're able to come up with these approaches just to ensure that we're implementing the single window initiative in a coordinated way. Okay, we can move to the next slide. Okay, so just to share the outcome areas of transform influence on social protection service delivery. What have we been able to appreciate? So before the transform training, most of the social protection service providers did not understand social protection. But now, following the training, we have a common understanding of social protection at the district level, as well as at the community level. Everyone knows what social protection is. Also, we've seen an enhancement in coordination. So the training changed our mindset from working in silos. During the training, we had different types of exercises where we were able to realize that we're working in silos. So that changed our mindset and enhanced on coordination. So comprehensiveness in service delivery. Before, we're working in silos, so it was very difficult to offer different services to a beneficiary in a coordinated way. But now, when the case management is done, it's very easy to know what other services are needed at the household level. And then we make referrals, so meaning there's that comprehensiveness in service delivery. Easy resource mobilization. So what we have seen in the NGOs of the community-based organization, it's very easy now even to mobilize resources. So all they need is recommendations from the government, and then they are able to mobilize resources. Also the spreading of services, provision to the rural areas. So when we did the stakeholders mapping, we realized that most of the stakeholders were in the urban area. So now we have spread the services to the rural. So when a stakeholder or an NGO comes in the district, it's even easier to make recommendations so that they go where the services are not being provided. Okay, next slide. So we've also seen improved awareness on social protection, creating demand also for social protection services. So because of the awareness that we do is different stakeholders, we go together on radio, community meetings, just to create awareness. And then we've seen demand for these social protection services. So improved public partnership. So we've also seen the private sector coming in to supplement government efforts. And then problem solving, using local solutions like Felix mentioned, we're able to identify and implement creative solutions tailored to our own specific context. Knowledge sharing at the district and sub-district level. So when we received as practitioners the transform training, we're also able to train the community volunteers. So we're able to train about 400 community volunteers. Even those officers who come, for example, transferred from one district to the other, where transformers have been delivered. So we're also able to capacity build them and also just share the knowledge. Yeah, enhance their soft skills. So this has helped officers to advance organizational skills, capacity in teamwork, communication, facilitation skills, and so on. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so we've also seen a few challenges, like for example, at the sub-district level, we don't have a transform package. So even as we were being capacity built, we also felt it was very important to also capacity build the sub-district level, where we have the community volunteers. But we do not have a specific package that we can be able to use and replicate at the sub-district level. Limited infrastructure. So even at the community level, you would find that most of the service providers at the community level do not have like workspaces, high staff turnover. So there are a lot of transfers within the district where transform has been delivered. So you'd find that you orient officers who come in the district, again, they're transferred, those coming in, maybe they're coming from a district where transform hasn't been delivered, and you have to start all over again. And also change of membership at the community level. So these community welfare assistance committees and work development committee members are not usually there permanently. So after they're elected, you have to start all over again, training them. So just to share a few challenges. Next slide. So just to share this story of change and just to appreciate how transform training is enhancing on the coordination of social protection services at the district and community level. So we have this beneficiary here, who is Emilia Piri, who has been able to, who has received assistance through the single window initiative. So she received a food security bag, and then she was able to share how she has now moved to farmer input support program. So she shared a story where in the, before she was assisted, after she would plant her maize, she would just maybe have 15 bags. But like for this year, she shared that she's expecting over 80 bags. So she's now able to educate her children, also growing her businesses. As we can see from the photos, she's able to keep some goats and chickens, and also she has improved on her maize production. So just to share this story on how social protection service delivery is helping our beneficiaries at the community level. Okay. Thank you very much. This is where my presentation ends. Just to hand back to that.
Thank you, Thebuho, for your presentation on transform and single window implementation. I think it's very interesting to see how transform contributed to improve coordination of social protection service delivery at the grassroots level here in Kafue district. And we can see that the impact of transform on social protection service delivery was significant, ranging from improved awareness, knowledge, enhanced coordinations, resource mobilization, and especially I'm very impressed with the improved public-private partnership impact. And we also very impressed with the restore impact of the single window initiative to Emilia, who is able to increase the maize earned by 5 times. And now she start to improve herself with a new business and further impact on her children. I think very interesting. Participant, before we go to the next, I want to mention that if you have any question to Felix and Thebuho, please post it. We saw some of the question to Felix and Thebuho already posted, and there's some answer, but please post it. Now I would like to introduce the next presentation, Ms. Malumbo Kumwenda, to present about the institutionalizations of the transform training package in Malawi. Over to you, Malumbo.
Thank you very much, Dad. So I'll be presenting on the institutionalization of the Transform training package, solely focusing on the joint collaboration that has been going on between Magomero College, but also the Transform Africa initiative. Can I have the first slide? Next slide, please. All right. So basically, we're going to begin by looking at the background. Where do we come from as Magomero, and then how do we come into the picture? So basically, Magomero Community Development College is a government institution. So we're under the Ministry of Gender and Community Development. We are the institution that has been given or has the powers to basically do capacity building under the ministry. So we're responsible for capacity building. So our primary objective as an institution is to basically help in building capacity of frontline workers, those involved in the implementation of the Malawi social protection programs, so both at the district but also at the community levels. So the coming in of the social protection program at our institution came in because of a capacity development assessment report of 2010 that was done or that was commissioned by the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning, but also Development. So from this assessment, it was realized that as a country, we had insufficient capacity of people to be able to adequately provide social protection activities at the national, district, but also community levels. So there was a lack when it came to the implementation, the need for the staff that was responsible for implementing social protection programs. So that's where, from this assessment, it was seen that there was a lack, and then the institution had to come in to help with the training. Can I have the next slide? So in response to the 2010 report, the college developed a curriculum to train community development practitioners, social welfare, but also related extension workers in integrated social protection service delivery at the community level. So from the gaps that were identified, there was a need to now train staff, and the college developed a curriculum to help in training these community development, social welfare, but also other related extension workers who are a key in the delivery of social protection programs, So the first certificate in social protection was developed with technical but also financial support from GIZ under the social protection program. But this particular curriculum was also later revised by the institution to basically be able to incorporate the emerging issues with the understanding that we live in a global world, a world that is ever changing. So there was need to incorporate emerging issues into the curriculum to make it basically responsive to the needs of the people, but also the beneficiaries that are going to receive the services. The curriculum review was done with financial support from the EU through the Department of Economic Planning and Development, while Moderator. So this is basically an institution in the country that helps in making sure that it provides assistance when it comes to technical education, vocational training, but also entrepreneurship. So we also had technical support from Moderator during the revision or the review of the curriculum, where we're incorporating these emerging issues. Next. So now the partnership, now focusing on the partnership that we as an institution have had with Transform Africa. So later on, Magomero entered a partnership with Transform Africa, but this partnership came into being because of a number of reasons. So basically I just highlight some of the reasons why the college came into partnership with Transform Africa. So the first one, we're saying there was an increased demand for social protection trainings. So with the coming in of the increase in the program, the social protection programs in the country, there was a demand. So we have a number of programs. So looking at the school meals program, the climate smart public works program, but also we have the microfinance, the village savings and loan groups, but also the social protection, the social cash transfer program. So with the increase in the programs, specifically the ones, the non-contributory programs of social protection, there was a need to basically be able to train more staff. So there was a demand for more social protection trainings to be able to make sure that the services at the end of the day are effectively delivered. So we're saying this demand was driven by the need throughout social protection capacity building in Malawi. So there was need to basically have leaders or train staff at all levels besides the front line. So just instead of just focusing on the front line providers of the social protection services, there was a need to be able to train more besides this front line. So we're saying this rollout of training was important to build capacity of social protection in Malawi, social protection leaders in Malawi who could respond to emerging needs. I think if we recall from the presentation of Felix, but also Thebuho, when we're looking at the component of transform, we had a component of leadership that everybody is a leader in his or her own right. So there was a need now to be able to have to build the capacity of these social protection practitioners to make sure that they understand leadership and how to be able to effectively perform their duties in the various roles that they are basically performing. So also the partnership came in from the perspective of transform, where we're saying this partnership and rising demand in training was an opportunity to make the initiative more sustainable. So a sustainability component is also coming in the sense that from the previous point of them being leaders in their own rights, we also, with the training, the continuous training process, this knowledge of transform is basically impacted to a number of individuals who basically also through the snowball effect are going to implement it to other individuals, and then there's more sustainability when it comes to transform, the package of transform. Next. Right. So what has happened so far to make sure to actualize this partnership between Magomero Community Development College, but also Transform Africa? So number one, we're saying there was a sensitization of the Ministry of Gender, Community Development, and Social Welfare, but also Magomero College in partnership. So basically, an information sharing seminar where you're trying to understand or sensitize this various stuff on what the transform package is all about, and then how it can be incorporated into the training package at the college. But also after the sensitization, there was a training of Magomero lectures for exposure to the transform methodology. So Magomero lecturers did have a training from the Transform Africa, basically a district, the understanding of the district package to understand what the transform package is all about, what it includes, and what is expected. After the training, there was, we're saying from that training, with the our certificate program, a number of key issues were incorporated in our certificate program from the transform package. So I think when Thebuho was also presenting, there was a mention of the building blocks of the transform package. So we had to incorporate the building blocks of social protection. So those were also incorporated. So issues of management information systems, administration, but also selection and identification. I think if we can recall from our country perspective in Malawi, before we would basically look at selection as and identification as targeting, but then from the now coming in, understanding or learning from transform, and then we have been able to incorporate issues of looking at targeting from a more positive perspective of it being selection and identification. So that has been incorporated in the certificate program that is being offered at Magomero Community Development College. But also this particular curriculum, we are basically trying to work towards having a diploma curriculum for the social protection certificate. So that also has been incorporated into the drafting of the diploma curriculum. Number 4, we're saying we have a roadmap. The development of a roadmap for institution of transform was done. So there was a roadmap that was created on how, like a way forward now on what we should be able to do to basically institutionalize transform into our curriculum. So a number of things have already happened. So the first one is there was a training of trainers. So 11 Magomero lectures. So a total of 13 were trained. They had underwent the training of trainers, and then 11 have been accredited. So we have 11 master trainers for the national master trainers for the Transform program, where the 3 remaining ones are awaiting accreditation. So basically, 8 out of the 11 tutors, have been accredited. So we have the capacity to be able to deliver the Transform package effectively. We can be able to host the delivery of the Transform package, because now we have master trainers, but also we have the facilities, the infrastructures to be able to host a number of training programs to basically help in the institutionalization of the Transform package. But also we're saying the master trainers have since conducted training. So there was the accredited master trainers have conducted training. So we did trainings in the southern region of Malawi, but also in the northern region of Malawi. The last point there, we're trying to say that through the capacity that we have built from Transform, even the delivery through of our certificate program has been improved. So even in our certificate programs have been able to be effectively delivered, because now we're incorporating the component of Transform, we're incorporating the building blocks of social protection and whatnot, making it more richer, and even since we are training these frontline workers who are helping in the delivery of services in various districts in the country, this does also help in the delivery of products to the beneficiaries of these various social protection programs. Next. So I'll move on to some of the steps that we have taken to actualize the partnerships. So number 1, we're saying we have been able to draft a diploma curriculum. So a draft diploma curriculum that incorporates Transform modules with assistance from ILO Regional Program on Social Protection has been drafted. So the academic department at Magomero Community Development College have been able to draft a diploma curriculum. Currently, the college is working with ILO, UNICEF, but also IPRI to finalize the diploma. So it's in the process where we're working with these partners to be able to finalize this diploma program and have it being offered at the institution. So what are some of the objectives of this particular diploma program that we intend to offer after it has been finalized? So the main objective of the curriculum is to institutionalize the Transform curriculum to reflect the life cycle approach towards social protection. So we're trying to make sure that it is institutionalizing. We shouldn't look at social protection as just poverty relief, but also we should be able to look at it from a life cycle approach with the understanding that we are all at risk of facing some sort of vulnerabilities throughout our life. So a number of the other objectives we have, we want to make sure that the workforce that we send into the field is able to understand the purpose, function, but also methods of social protection in Malawi. They're able to internalize the values and ethics of social protection, but also they're able to interpret these social protection policies and strategies that have been developed by the government, but also strengthen their capacity to be able to design, implement, but also deliver integrated social protection services. Lastly, trying to be able to mainstream a number of emerging issues into the implementation of social protection programs. Can I have the next slide?
Malumbo, can you wrap up in one minute? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dash. All right, so for our target audience, we're basically trying to target both serving officers, but also the freshers from high school. So with the serving officers, we're targeting the social welfare and community development assistance. We're looking at this, the school heads, the SHIN primary school teachers from the Ministry of Education, agriculture extension development officers, but also forestry assistants, because our social protection programs basically fall under those particular officers. Next slide. Yes, we also have encountered a number of challenges. So number one, where we are working with different stakeholders, so we are supposed to juggle these different stakeholders' interests. So that has been also a challenge in our implementation or the institutionalization of our transformed curriculum, but also issues of financial constraints for rolling out. So training materials, but also the capacity of building the capacity of these trainers that helping also basically constrain and need finances. But also there is another focus of the current social protection program in Malawi, where we are more focused on the non-contributory program and not contributory social protection services. The last slide. So looking ahead, we are working towards having the diploma curriculum being accredited by the Malawi National Council for Higher Education, but also there are further plans to basically develop a degree course in social protection, building on the same institutional process, but also adapting transformed materials. But also, as a college, we will remain a base for social protection capacity building for institutions, non-governmental organizations, but also the government in Malawi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Malumbo, for your presentation on a very example of how the transform is institutionalized and now is linking with the academy institution. I think your presentation actually addressed already a question from a college from UNICEF in Ghana asking about that. It's very interesting, especially you mentioned a lot about the roadmap and including the development of TOT and especially inclusion of the transform into a certificate program with a plan to upgrade into a diploma curriculum. Very interesting. Thank you very much, on speaker. And now we are entering the Q&A sections. We already have some questions raised and answer. And thank you very much. And Malumbo, while you are present, you already have few questions pop up, and please look into the open question to see some of the questions that maybe you need to address. I think there's also a question for Thebuho STEAM Lab. even if his answer is that the question on how the involvement of CSO with the SWI. I think Felix answer on how the involvement of CSO with transform, but there's another part. While we are waiting for your input, Felix, can you go back and just have your interaction with the question on maybe on Tanguy about what is the possible step? Is okay? Just very quick, and then while waiting for Malumbo and Thebuho to start answering the other two questions. Thank you. Over to you, Felix.
Thanks, Dat. So I have a few questions directed at me, and the one you identify is on how to you know, what to do to have a transform training conducted, and this question is from Herman in Ka, Central African Republic. So it's as easy as you know, getting in touch with me, and then we'll begin the conversation. I need to briefly understand the context in terms of what is the social protection context in Ka, and then from there we can think together and you know, identify the most appropriate module. Remember, I said that we have several modules, so we need to, based on the social protection context, and then based on that, we identify which one is going to be the most useful. So I've shared my contact, and I can be reached out to, and as many as would want to make inquiries on Transform. There's one other question I wanted to address quickly, that from Robert, which is, do you see a situation where academic institutions or universities in Africa can adopt the Transform as the Transform course as part of their curricula? And the answer is a resounding yes, really. And what Malumbo has presented is one of our best examples of how this can be done. You obviously should be based on a partnership that has mutual interest. For Transform, the idea is really to institutionalize. Can we have this well-developed, clear, practical modules, you know, be incorporated into existing systems? Could include academic institutions at university level, but also colleges and other think tanks that exist in most of Africa. So yes, it's doable, and I think Malawi gives us one example of just so many things that we can do. Thank you for now.
Thank you, Felix. I don't know, Mabuho, can you address there's two, so Malumbo, there's two questions for you. The first one is that whether before you conduct the training, do you review the trainee profile, actual job, and what is the challenge is for doing that? And also the question is that whether you can, if it is documented, whether you can share it. There is another question. The second question is that whether you charge the training and how much. Over to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. I'll start with a question from Sarah on whether we have been, we did a review on what the actual job consisted of the trainees, and in theory, but also in practice. So basically, from my presentation, in the beginning, where we are a part of the Ministry of Gender, Community Development and Social Welfare, which is also a key partner in the implementation of social protection programs in the country. So we are basically working with the implementers, and we have, so the answer to your question would be yes, a review was done to basically get the information that is needed, because we are working with the current ministry, which we are under, to get all the information necessary to see the gaps that are basically faced during the implementation of the program, and so build from those gaps to improve the delivery of the programs this number of social protection programs that we're implementing as a country. On the second question from Samuel, yes, as an institution, we do charge for the services. So there is a charge for the services that we provide for the social protection programs. And we do not charge in dollars currently, but also on how much with the changing economic system, the charges basically are prone to changes. So we can say for maybe this year it's a different amount, but in the coming year it'll be a different amount as well. So we currently charge in kwatas, which can be converted basically, and then yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. There is a question, I don't know, on the M&E. I don't know, Felix, have addressed? I think it looked like addressed, right? Okay, Thebuho, do you have interaction on how the involvement of civil society with the work of single window initiative that you just present in Kafu district? Thank you.
So with regards to the civil society, those usually are coming on advocacy. There are some times when we cannot say something direct, for example, is social protection service providers, but you'd find that we involve them. When we have meetings, they come, or maybe sensitizations, so that they're even able to pick up on what challenges we have and also advocate for us. So those come in usually on the advocacy part, and also even on like mark days, like for example, Social Protection Week. Yes, they also come in and join and also just participate and offer a voice. So those usually are coming in terms of advocacy. They may not necessarily be a service provider, but they are a channel of advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Thebuho, and thank you all. I think on the question reply and answer, there's a question about asking about Malumbo email. I think yeah, we can share her contact as well. You can see a link in her social media linking in sorry, in the profile. So I think I would like to say we are now entering the closing because we utilized very good our time, and I think I have to say thank you very much, everyone, for your participations and for your presentation, and especially for the question and the interaction during the webinar. And I think there are a lot of more questions. I think that's still people still want, and please write to us, and we will happy to reply in writing. And before closing, I would like to remind all participants that please make sure that to answer our survey, which will be available as soon as you leave the section, and join us for the next webinar. Thanks so much and goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.